I'm pretty sure if that roof was closed, it probably would have been blown off the top. Yeah, oh my gosh, it was loud. I'm sure your watch was freaking out,
So
having a panic
I
attack.
turned it off. I turned off my watch. I literally had to turn it off because it kept going off.
Oh, you're.
All right. Well, I want to welcome you guys to yet another episode of the Dad Hat Chronicles. I'm giving you guys a special edition episode here. I'm calling it the Caribbean Baseball Series. Let me tell you guys, at least for me, I was excited to do this. This was like it happened like out of nowhere. My wife goes like, I know you've been wanting to go. Why don't you do it? Look at flights and all that. And I'll tell you guys the story. But first I want to introduce you guys to my guest, my good friend, Zach Beeson, who, by the way, who also was there during the Caribbean Baseball Series. I'm going to talk to you, my friend, because you were there longer than I was. I was only there like literally one night. No joke. That was it, one night. So, but first of all, man, how are you doing, man? Thank you for coming on the podcast, dude.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me, and glad to be here. I'm doing great and love baseball, and glad to see college baseball and MLB getting ready to start up soon.
You know, something that I give you credit for this to anybody that will that listens to me is, you know, when everybody they say, oh, baseball season's over or baseball season hasn't started, you're the one that says, what are you talking about? There's plenty of baseball going on throughout the years, right? The winter baseball series, which to your credit, and it is extremely correct because, you know, like in my homeland of Puerto Rico, we got the Roberto Clemente, series, season. So I love it when people like other than myself, right, who lived there and all that and was born there, are noticing those leagues and are like, yeah, you guys got to pay attention to these leagues because there's like some legit Major League Baseball players going on there.
Exactly. I agree. And the way I look at it is the game we went to the other night, Venezuela winning. I mean, all these podcasts and stuff talk about these summer collegiate teams or low A ball teams. Tell me which of those teams are going to beat that Venezuelan team. I can't think of any.
Not one. We were literally talking about it when we met, and like these two teams were stacked.
Yeah.
Like, listen, as a Puerto Rican, representative, representing my country, I was like, Puerto Rican had no chance. Like these two teams were like legit good, from pitching to catching to hitting, the fielding, everything was like major league level ready. Like these guys were like on point. I mean, you got some major league players, right? You know, Robinson Cano and all these other players. So listen, I digress. Let's just get back to talk to me. Like, you're thinking about like, how did it happen for you? Like, what was your thinking about, all right, let me plan this out and actually do this, because it took a little bit of planning, right?
It did initially. So, I mean, to kind of go back a couple years with the Caribbean series, I didn't know what it was until about 2015, 2016, because I was kind of in that lull like everybody else, like, oh, I miss baseball. It's cold. It's terrible here. I want baseball to come back. And I just remember flipping through. I had Sling TV at the time. And for some reason, I had the ESPN Deportes channel.
Yep.
And they were playing the Caribbean series. And I was like, what is this? It says en vivo, which means live at the top. So like they're actually playing games. So what is this? And so I start doing background research and I was like, oh, so there's baseball going on from the last out of the World Series to the first pitch of essentially the college baseball season. And so delve in, doing my research, been watching over years. I've always had the desire to go after learning about it. If anybody ever saw my profile on Baseball Bucket, they would know like Zach's always wanted to go to this.
Yep.
And then so when it came time for them to say, hey, we're doing this in Miami, I thought, well, that's a lot easier to get to than the Dominican Republic or the west coast of Mexico or, even Puerto Rico. I thought, man, I hope that's doable. And so I kind of made it as a birthday gift to myself, since my birthday is coming up at the end of the month. And lo and behold, doing internet research, found a round trip ticket out of Cincinnati to Miami for $78 round trip.
Shut up, dude.
Yeah. Use my hotel points so I didn't have to pay for lodging, and made it happen.
So first of all, and then so jealous that it's like $78. Like I paid $200 and something
Oh
because
gosh.
it was like, but it was last minute though, right? Like I mean, I did it like I flew out Friday, I booked my ticket Monday. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
that's how late I did it. But anyways, but for those of you that don't know, right? The Caribbean Baseball Series is a series of a number of winter leagues that get together at the end of their respective seasons, right? So Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, usually Colombia's in it, Cuba. Those are the two countries that weren't there. We were both pretty pissed off about that weren't there, right? But they all play their regular winter league season, and then the winner of that league will go ahead and represent their country in what is called the Caribbean Baseball Series, right? So for Puerto Rico, it was Los Criollos de Caguas. Then you have Los Leones. You had, usually like, for like Mexico, Los Tomateros or Los Federales, whatever, right? So like Curacao was an interesting one because I was not aware of what the Curacao series was, which was, you said it was a week long tournament, correct?
Yeah, they played a week-long tournament right before Christmas, and whoever won that was the team that gets to go to the Caribbean Series. And
Which
it was
is
the team
wild.
called the Curacao Suns,
Yep.
was the name of the team, and they gifted the opportunity to represent Curacao.
And let me tell you, dude, they played. They played. They beat Puerto Rico. Like, I mean, they played. They balled out, bro. That was a crazy team. So, I mean, you had Didi Gregorius in that team, for God's sakes. Like, I mean, this is how, like,
Jerks and Profar.
dude, Jerks and Profar, like, I mean, unreal. So, so you $78, like you found for $78, you got your hotel, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna go for the semifinals and the finals, right? Why? Like just like you just specifically chose that time, or is it because you had that during that time of period, or you wanted to get, like to get to the cream of the crop teams?
So if it was up to me, I would have gone to the entire tournament and gone to
Me
every
too.
single game they played, but my work schedule, I wasn't able to.
Mm.
For example, the game we went to that day, I was on my laptop working. And so, I mean, there's work to be done, but thankfully I'm able to work remotely at times. And so that's how that worked out. And so that's just scheduling is all it was really. And so that's why I was only able to go to the semifinal and the finals.
Gotcha. So talk to me about it, right? So you get there. What did you do? Like, did you go around town? Like, what did you do?
So I got off the plane, and the first thing I wanted to do, because it's about lunchtime when the plane got there, is I was hungry and I wanted Cuban food because all I ever hear about is Miami is basically little Cuba. That is all the Cubans' food. And so I went straight to La Carreta, which was recommendation given by a comedian, Gabriel Iglesias.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to La Carreta, had me a Cuban sandwich with some tostones,
My
enjoyed,
man.
and then kind of went around town just being a sightseer till the first game started.
Gotcha. So what was the first game for you?
It was the semifinal between Panama and the Dominican Republic.
Ooh, that was a good one.
Yeah, I wanted to see Panama win, just kind of give the small guy a chance to win because the
Yeah.
Tigres del Licey, they were representing the Dominican Republic. And for those that don't know, they're essentially the Yankees of the Dominican Republic, the Yankees of the Caribbean Series. They got the most titles, they get the
Yep.
best players, all that. And so I wanted to kind of see Panama make an upset since they had been kicking everyone's rear end the whole tournament anyway.
Yeah, for real.
But it didn't happen.
It was funny because Panama was like, they got off right off. Like, I mean, they were just boom, 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 beating everybody.
And they were expected to finish at the bottom, and they slapped everyone around during the round robin tournament.
That's right. And even Puerto Rico. So, but and then, you and me were talking about it. Like the two teams that really surprised us that didn't finish where they were was Mexico and Nicaragua. Nicaragua didn't win a single game.
No.
Not only that, they got no hit.
Their pitching didn't do them any favors.
No, they didn't. No, not at all. Which was kind of like upsetting, So it was a little disappointing. So okay, so you watched the Dominican Republic, which by the way, we're going to talk about the Dominican Republic team because we got to do something extremely cool that
Hell
we
yeah.
both did not expect that we were going to do. So that was like off the charts. So that was awesome. All right, so you went to that game, or what was the other semifinal games for you then? It was the Venezuela and
And Curacao.
Well, that's how. Yeah, that's right. How was that game?
It was an interesting game because I thought Curacao was going to pull off the upset because they were leading for most of that game. And I thought, wow, like this small team, nobody thought was going to do anything. They're going to go to the final. Like, heck yeah, this is awesome for them.
Mhm.
But then, similar to Panama or similar to Nicaragua, their pitching didn't do them any favors in the late stretches of the game. And they gave it too many runs, and that's where that went. And there was a lot of Venezuelans at that game, kind of like the final that we went to. So they had the crowd behind them cheering on Venezuela. So that helped. I think that helped them a lot.
Venezuela was what, 80-20?
Yeah.
Like it was insanity. The amount of people that were there
Yeah.
from Venezuela was absolutely wild.
They moved like the whole city of La Guaira to
Boom.
Miami, and geez.
It was right there. It's like the whole country was just like right there. We're going down to Miami, and here's where we are. Not only that, but it was it was like pandemonium. It was absolutely loud.
Oh,
Like
geez.
I wear an Apple Watch, right? And then I have the loud decibel thing to notify me if it was too loud. It kept going off every 5 minutes. Like that's how loud this place was. Not only that, the roof was open.
Thank
So
goodness. Or we wouldn't
right,
have heard of anything.
no, like I've never seen it. It's like for those of you that says like, Major League Baseball, right? Like, that's a great experience. Like, playoffs and World Series. That's an absolute wonderful experience. I can't take that away from that because I've experienced that, right? I've been to a World Series game with Cleveland and it was awesome and I loved it. But I'll be honest with you, it just the Caribbean series, like what's up heads and shoulders way better, like the experience wise, the energy when it comes to baseball game. I don't know if you felt that way, but that's how I felt.
I did. It was just an amazing energy. And we think for the Caribbean series, they made it a rule this year that they got rid of the pitch clock. And it did not felt like I was there for 3.5 hours. Felt like I was there for 10 minutes. And it was just a blast.
Right. And I'll explain to you guys a little bit here, right? So when during the game is, it's not like you see it here, right? Like you see a little bit of music, bump, bump, bump. No, none of that. It is from the very first moment that game is, you're doing the national anthems and all that. It is a party. It is literally a party the whole time. I mean, there's like instruments on there. Like I'm going to be putting some videos later on so that way you guys can see that. Like there was a parade going on with some instruments going around the ballpark. People had their guidos, their congas, and
Yep.
all of this other stuff. Like, and it was an absolute wonderful flags everywhere. Like, obviously the championship that you and me went to, it was Venezuela and the Dominican Republic. But I believe you were also keeping count of like how many hats from other countries and other teams you were seeing. Everything was represented there. Like,
Oh, yeah.
and it was amazing.
I agree. I agree. Just man, what an energy and I don't think anything compares to that because I've been to Dodger Stadium, I've been to the Águilas de Mexicali,
Mhm.
and those felt similar, kind of party like atmospheres, but nothing like the Caribbean series. I mean, that's just wow. I like yesterday. I was actually today. I mean, I was walking in work and I was just like, man, I just want to go to a ball game right now because I'm
So do
still
I.
hyped from being in Miami.
Like the energy was like I could not go to sleep. I think I went to bed like probably around 1 o'clock to wake up super early to go to the airport, but I could not go to sleep because I was like so hyped up from all of this energy.
Oh yeah.
And not only that, guys, not only that, but I gotta talk about the food there. The food was amazing. Obviously I got there and he was this was supposed to be the plan for me. Okay. The plan for me was I was going to go there early in the morning. I found the flight that was like super early. I was going to Uber there to that area, like, and then just walk around, do some sightseeing like you were planning on doing and all that. Right. And then eventually make it to the ballpark and then hang out. And like I invited my uncle, say, hey, you want to come, it'll be awesome because he lives on there. Right. And his team, which is team the Dominican Republic. That was his country, right? He's from the Dominican. So I was like, perfect, let's go. Hopefully, by the time I was planning, I was like, hopefully Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic would play. That didn't happen. So I was like, oh, well, right? So, but I got yelled at by my aunt. She was like, no, you're going to come over here. You're going to stay with us and your mom take you to lunch. I'm like, all right. My bad, TT. Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
gotta
Uh,
respect the
yeah, you gotta respect you. Like I told my wife, I was like, I just feel like I just got yelled at, which is hilarious. And I told her that I was like, TT, I think you were yelling at me, and I was like a little scared. I'm not gonna lie, but it was awesome, right? Because they took me to a Puerto Rican restaurant. We had some good food. We had some mofongo, some carne frita, and you know what I mean. You gotta have some Puerto Rican food, or at least some kind of like Hispanic food when you're in Miami, right?
Oh, I agree. That's why I had Cuban food, I had Venezuelan food, I had Puerto Rican food.
You were like you took full advantage and you embraced what it with what the Caribbean series is like, and that's what I was telling my wife. I was like, man, this dude really did do it right. Like, I mean, you embraced the Caribbean series. Like, you embraced the food, the people. I gotta tell you, I don't know if my uncle told you this, but my uncle on the way back to the house, he was like, his Spanish is very good. So he was
You.
very impressed by you. So just so you know, like I was like, good for him. I was like, and I told him how many ballparks you've been to, and he was like massively impressed by that.
I
I don't know if
appreciate it.
I don't know if he told you this, so I'll tell the story now. Right, his cousin, my uncle's cousin, is one of the directors for the Dominican team there. So he tells us like, hey, he's here. I don't know if he can do this, but I'm gonna try. They have a suite at the ballpark. And I'm like, no way. He was like, I'm telling you. I was like, all right, so let's go. So you and me were walking with him, and he goes, he's sending him an IM. He's like, I don't have his phone number, but I have his he was messaging through Facebook, right? And you and me, we find ourselves inside of the suite with the president of the team, the owner of the team, the director of the team, and we're like,
Sitting in a luxury suite with the Tigres del Licey in the final of the Caribbean series, like my mind is still blown. Like that happened.
it was insane, dude. And the picture that you took of the rings
Oh,
was
championship
awesome.
rings. Oh yes.
Dude, these were massive rings.
Oh yeah. I've never been that close to a Major League Baseball ring, and so like I've seen Dominican rings. Like almost touched them. I didn't want to. I felt like I would turn into
Yeah.
dust if I touched them. Like
It was I couldn't I just couldn't believe it. I mean, it was just like, we're here. We are in a luxury suite, which by the way was like, and then we were watching it there and it was still loud. We were indoors and it was still super loud.
yeah.
Like my ears were still ringing for a while.
Yeah, me too. And it just to think like because those luxury suites for the Caribbean Series finals were pushing somewhere between $18,000 and $25,000 just for the game, and to think like, oh, here is Ed and I were standing here in the suite, just like Juan Soto, just like Miguel Cabrera, who are a couple suites down from us. Like we're doing the same thing.
Juan Soto there, right? Like, I mean, he wasn't playing. He was like, oh, I'm here. Miggy, right? Like, I mean, the one bunch of players from the Miami Marlins were there. I mean, it was like, this is it, right? Like, I mean, this is like, for me, I automatically call it like the beginning of my baseball season is the Caribbean series. That's when the season officially starts for me, because the Puerto Rican series is still it goes on in December and all that. So I count it as, ending the season. But this thing was absolute wonderful. We had some arepas in at the ballpark. And then you're like, you gotta try it, dude. I was like, all right, let's go get some, because I was starving. And
Venezuelan style arepas. Arepas. Wow.
which was, the little patty, right? And then they cut it in the middle and they stuff it with either chicken or beef. And then they put shredded cheese on top of that. We didn't get the sauce because they ran out. This is how popular this place was. Like, the guy was telling us, you were talking to the guys like, yeah, I've been making this the whole time. It's been nonstop. It goes on until the end of the game. That's how popular this place was. Hopefully it's there every game, because man, they are gonna be raking some money.
Amen.
You know what I mean? So was this your first time at Miami Marlins Stadium?
Yes, I'd never been to any part of Miami ever until this past when we went down there.
Oh, really? So it was like your first time there.
Yeah.
Wow. Give me your thoughts on the ballpark. What did you think?
I thought the ballpark was really nice. I mean, it's relatively new. It's about 10 years old now.
Mhm.
I know like the Marlins get made fun of and whatever, this, that, and the other. But I mean, their ballpark is really nice. Like it's a nice
Mhm.
ballpark to go to. It's set up great. Concourse is good. I love when they open those windows behind left center for the sea breeze to come in. Like it's a great ballpark.
It was, and I'm with you there. Like it was a nice cool breeze. So like for being in southern Florida, like in Miami, I was like, oh, it's a kind of nice little cool breeze coming in at night, right? The roof was open and all that. What I found interesting about this ballpark, and tell me how you feel about this, is it was in the middle of residential area, like it's literally in Little Havana, right? And the one thing that I think it was missing, and this is not a shot at them, right? Because they built it where they built it, and it's cool. But like, I would have liked to see like restaurants and bars, right? So like to go there, because you see a lot of other ballparks that are building entertainment areas along with the ballparks, and I feel like the Miami Marlins are missing that one piece of the entertainment side of it.
I see it more as costs. So I mean, the cost
Yeah.
of land in southern Florida, and then all the
Woohoo.
hotels. Like, good luck competing with those hotels on the beachfront. Like, I kind of see it as, where else are you going to build? That where
There's
you
nowhere else.
saving money, and who's going to set up. It's, I mean, imagine it's probably hard to open restaurants in Little Havana. I don't know, but
Yeah.
that's just the way I see it.
But let me tell you though, the energy was there. Was like it was awesome. It's like people like in their house were like letting people park. It was like, all right, we're charging you 20-30 bucks. Here we go. You park here at our house, and then you can go and enjoy the game. Which was it wasn't bad. Like I mean, we found a parking in the parking garage because there's two parking garages, right? And because there was two games going on, right? The one parking garage they use it, and then the other one was being used for the other game. So while that one was being empty out, the other one was getting filled in, which was like the the amount of work that they had to put in order the logistics of this. It was astronomical just for this series, which was a week long. That was it.
Right. Big shout out to the organizers. I mean, of course, with the Miami traffic, which is not very good. It's kind of terrible
No,
traffic and parking situation, especially with, this is like the most teams they've ever had for the tournament as well. I mean, I think the organizers did a great job with what they had,
they did
and
an
it turned out
amazing
great.
job.
Me, I didn't worry about the parking. I just said, I don't feel like dealing with that, so Uber's gonna do it
Uber
for
it
me.
is. Smart man. That's what I was gonna do. I was literally gonna do Uber, and that was it because it would have been easy just to, and even if then it was like they drop you off nearby, I was like, dude, just drop me off here. I'll walk the rest of the way, which I think is what you ended up doing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because the traffic was so bad, couldn't even move. And I was like, you know what? The ballpark is right there. You don't have to drop me off at the front door of the stadium. I'll just get out here, and I need the exercise anyway. So it's okay, man. Keep the money. You're good.
So we're there. We're like, we're in the suite. We're looking at the rings, our massive rings. Which, by the way, the guy who had the rings was very impressed by you as well at the number of ballparks that you've been to.
Thank you.
Yeah, he was like, "Are you serious?" And I could hear the conversation my uncle's having. He was like, "Yeah, like that's how many ballparks this guy has been to." And he goes like, "That's impressive." So good, you made an impression on the director of the Tigres that night. So
Appreciate it. I still need to get to a Tigres Elise game.
there you go. So we decided at that point. I was like, all right, let's not overstay our welcome. We go back to our seats, which was they weren't bad either. Like funny enough, we're both sat in the same. We bought tickets in the same section. We didn't even know we did that. So section 312. Shout out to section 312 there. So we go back, we sit down, and we're watching. And my uncle's like, this is not looking good. So I'm looking at you, and I'm like, it's not looking good for the Dominican Republic. The Venezuelan team was the better team. I mean, I hate to say it, but they were. Like, I mean, that was like we were talking, it was a loaded team, and they were playing.
Yeah, I agree. They were making plays. They were getting hits with two outs. They weren't swinging at bad pitches, because you can see the Dominican Republic, they were doing that early on. They were swinging at bad pitches, trying to hit it to the ocean, and it didn't work out for them.
They were forcing it.
Yep.
That's what they were doing. They were forcing the whole thing. It was like they were trying to hit home runs, like you said. They were trying to hit it to the beach. When Venezuela was not doing that, they were getting those hits. They were pushing the runners over. Sacrifice bunts. They were playing small ball, and it worked for them.
It
Like,
did. Because I mean, there was no home runs during the game,
no,
that game we were at, but I think a little bit of the crowd helped as well. Like it was a super Venezuelan crowd. I think
it,
that helps the
yeah.
players. I know some people try to argue like, oh well, home field advantage doesn't really affect in baseball. It's like, okay, sure.
Yeah, no, it does. Let me tell you, it does. We experienced it. Like that crowd, like I said, it was from pitch one, they were on it. Both teams actually, both countries, they were on it. Though, like, you could hear the cheering and all that, and it was like I was like, all right, this is a baseball game. Here we go. Let's go. I mean, like you said, it's like, that I think the Dominican Republic were forcing a little bit too much on try to hit home runs, try to force the getting them runs, which ended up backfiring for them. And then kudos to the Venezuelan pitching. They were able to work it where they worked themselves out of those tough situations. And, at the end of it, it proved that, obviously Venezuela won. Obviously, we saw it. And it was cool to see that, like, when they won, right? Because it was a roller to second base, and then boom, that was it. Like, I mean, as soon as that out happened, dude, that place, like, right, it went absolute
Oh
bonkers.
gosh. I'm pretty sure if that roof was closed, it probably would have been blown off the top. If yeah, oh my gosh, it was loud. I'm sure your watch was freaking out,
So
having a panic
I
attack.
turned it off. I turned off my watch. I literally had to turn it off because it kept going off. And I just seeing that, like, I mean, that was like one of the coolest moments I've seen in a long time, right? Like, I mean, it was just like, wow, like they're playing for the name on their front of the jersey, not the name on the back of the jersey, and they were playing.
Oh yeah.
It was cool to see.
And they were playing to win. It wasn't like a spring training game where they're just trying to get reps. It was like, no, we want to win this ball game. We are putting our heart and soul into this, and that's what I want to see. Because I mean, if they were half-assing it, I probably wouldn't go.
No, absolutely. And like you said, it's like, I think it goes to show you like the level of it was a record crowd. We
Yeah,
haven't even talked about that. 36,000 plus at that ballpark.
record for the Caribbean Series, and then the whole tournament on its own set the record for most attended Caribbean Series tournament ever.
How could you not have it back in Miami or, have it somewhere where like there's a big, concentration of Hispanic in there? Like, I mean, you got to bring it back.
I think Houston might be a good spot.
Oh, dude, I was thinking the exact same thing. I literally was just thinking Houston, the Rangers, maybe in California. Try that area as well, like the Dodger Stadium or Angels.
Oh,
Next
Dodger
time,
Stadium would be wild, or
right,
Petco Park in San
in
Diego.
San Diego, right? That's what I'm saying. Like that will be cool to see there, right? Because obviously next year, like we were talking about, during the game, it's going to be in Mexicali.
Mm-hmm.
2025 is going to be Mexicali. 2026 is going to be in San Juan, and then after that, it still needs to be decided. But they should bring it back because the level of popularity that arose from this series cannot be matched.
Mm-mm. Not at
Like,
all.
like you didn't have a country to, like, I mean, usually it's like, USA, right? Like, or for me, Puerto Rico, it's like you were just there for the experience, and you're like, I'm coming back.
Is there? I loved it. It was wow, what an experience to be able to witness that. And of course, I mean, essentially, I'm the minority in the crowd. Like, I don't know. At
Yeah.
times, I felt like I'm probably the only person in the stadium that speaks English as a first language. But I mean, interacting with everyone, it was, oh man, what an experience. I'm gonna remember it forever.
The people were cool, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
everybody was like, there was no fighting, which is
No.
interesting, right? There was no fighting. Like, and then, they were making fun of each other. Yeah. Like, I mean, it happened, right? My uncle
But
was
they were
also
cool with it.
getting
They
it.
still recognize like, oh, it's just a game at the end of the day. Like we all still got to go back to work tomorrow and, support our families. It wasn't like, let's get drunk and stupid and act like we're, I don't know, Buffalo Bills fans and just get dumb.
Yeah, exactly. It was one of those situations. Like, even my uncle was making fun of some of the Venezuelan. The Venezuelan was making fun of them and everything. They were bantering back and forth, and it was awesome. Like like I was talking about earlier about the little parade that they were doing. You could not. There was no one drunk there. but they were dancing and they were singing and they were playing their instruments, and it was an awesome experience. We're coming down the escalators, which, by the way, these escalators were massive.
Oh gosh,
And
yes.
right. And then we were just experiencing the whole thing. And it's like the whole place was shaking. The whole place was shaking. It was awesome.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It was so cool to that big old band. And I remember we went the opposite way because it's like, we're not going to make it through that parade to get out the doors.
No.
And it was, I mean, they're celebrating. They're happy. Like people happy, like acting like that after a baseball game. I was like, that's what I put on social media too. I was like, Latino baseball crowds, like that's my spirit animal. Cause
That's
like
my spirit animal.
I need more of that. Like I need my fellow Americans to be excited about their ball team winning a game like that. You know, that's what I want to see. And so it was really cool to do that. And then an interesting thing is, so you and your uncle had left,
Yep.
but I stayed to watch the trophy presentation, which was pretty cool. And then to promote the Caribbean Series next year in Mexicali, what they did is they put a mariachi band out there on the field, and they played a couple songs to kind of advertise, hey, this is going on in Mexico next year. And that was super cool to see as well. So got a
That's
little mariachi
awesome.
concert at the end.
That's pretty cool. And I got to take a picture with the trophy too. With this thing was massive.
Oh yeah, goodness. Yeah,
I
that's
was like,
huge.
holy mother of God. There was a couple of things that, and again, this is not to throw shade at the Caribbean Series or anything like that, because they did an absolute wonderful job. Like, I mean, the organizers did an absolute wonderful job. MC, she needed to tone it down. She needed to tone it down a little bit. The voice was just not going to happen for me. I'm sorry.
Eric the Peanut Guy, if you're listening, don't be that.
Don't be that, because it was not good. Like, it was like obnoxious loud. When you get to that decibel level of like obnoxiousness, that's what the level it was. But it could have been a little bit lower and it would have been more enjoyable. Another thing that was a little bit disappointing is merchandise.
Mhm.
There was no, and you talked to this a little bit about this, but there was no actual, like the actual team, like the Tigres del Licey or the Criollos de Cagua. There was no actual merchandise for those specific teams. What they had was Caribbean Series and then Team Puerto Rico or Team Dominican, Team Curacao, Team, Venezuela. That's what they had. Certain number of things, but mostly Caribbean Series merchandise.
I didn't I didn't like that because I mean it almost felt like a World Baseball Classics shop instead of a Caribbean Series. So for your listeners that don't know, the Caribbean Series is similar to the Champions League. We talked about this earlier, where the winner of their league in their respective country represent that country. And so I would have preferred them to wear whatever club they play for. I mean, if they were selling Tiburones hats or if they were selling Curacao Suns or whatever, if they were selling those in the shop, I would have been all over it.
Bro, me
But I
too.
mean, I just kind of saw it as, why do I want to represent Venezuela? I wear Team USA. That's
your
so
team.
that's why I feel like it just kind of felt like a World Baseball Classic. And so that's when I learned, because I was talking to people, it's similar to the College Baseball World Series. So in the College Baseball World Series, I'll use you for an example. So if Kent State were hosting a super regional,
Yep.
you wouldn't be able to buy a Kent State hat or t-shirt at the shop. It would only be like College World Series regional, like on the t-shirt. So it's the same. The Caribbean Series does the same thing. You can't sell the teams. You sell what the Caribbean Series tells you you're going to sell, and you got to sell like the country hats and stuff.
It just, and then I'll be honest, like, I mean, the material that they use, like, it was like ironed on patches on the Caribbean Series. So I was like, I'm not gonna buy a ironed on Caribbean patch. It just didn't make any sense for me. I did buy a Puerto Rico hat though. Like, I mean, all right, at least I'll buy that. I bought the National Puerto Rico hat, and then a Dominican Republic snapback hat fell on my lap at the end of the game.
I remember that.
I don't know where this hat came from.
Because we were trying to look like, hey, did somebody lose this? Like,
I try to give it to the people. No one wanted it. The one lady behind me, she goes like, "It's yours now." I'm like, "I'm not Dominican, but I'll take it." But it's a nice hat, dude. Like, I mean, I still have it here. Look at this thing.
Nice.
But it has the World Baseball Classic logo in the back, and then look at that, the bottom of the brim that has the Dominican Republic on it. So I was like, all right, I mean, I'll keep it. You know what I mean? But again, like, I wish I would have seen I would have been cool to see like the Sons of Curaçao. I would have bought a hat from there.
Yeah,
You know
exactly.
what I mean? Tigres del Licey. Like I would. That's what I wanted to see. And if there was a negative or something for them to work on, it was that.
Amen. I agree. The good thing is, though, for your listeners, hats from the Venezuelan League, the Dominican League, Puerto Rican League, they're not super hard to get. So
No,
you'd be able to get those as well. So that part's not bad. And then also the Mexican League, they'll ship to the U.S. The Summer League, Mexican League, they won't ship to the U.S., but the Mexican Pacific League that does participate in the Caribbean Series, they'll ship to the U.S. as well.
and the good thing is because I saw the New Era has some of the Mexico ones and all of that, so that was pretty cool. So I like I said, I'm a little disappointed in that. That's the one thing. Again, I'm I want to do this again. I want to go back and I want to experience this again. I wish I would have been there longer because it was that cool of an experience that anybody should experience, no matter what. Like I mean, they should experience that no matter what.
I agree 100%. And so if people want to go to Mexicali next year, I mean, I went to a game there this past November, and so it's literally right across the border. So if you're kind of like, Mexico cartel is dangerous, then stay in Calexico, California. You can get a hotel room there, not far from San Diego, not far from Phoenix, and you can enjoy the Caribbean series. It'd be a great time, great opportunity to see what just a big Latino population looks like at a ball game.
So, how was that experience for you? Like, going to Mexicali and seeing that. Like, I mean, that had to be cool, man.
It was awesome. It The part that stunk is a lot of that stadium is cash only,
Oh,
and
that's right. You
I
did
didn't
say
have
that.
any
You said,
cash, and
yeah.
that part kind of sucked. So I didn't get to try as much food as I wanted to.
hmm
But the concessions are different. I mean, the crowd is different, but it was a blast. Had a blast.
I'm gonna get to. It's funny. Paul Caputo, literally texted me and says, like, "Hey, how was it?" And I told him like, dude, it was, you should have. I literally tried to tell him, dude, you got to come with me. I'm telling you, get your ticket. Let's go. We'll stay at the airport. We'll hang out, all night, and then we'll leave. Didn't do it, and he goes like, I wish I would have done it.
Yeah,
It's like,
should have, man.
and then he literally said to me the very next day on my when I was already home, he was like, "All right, so we going? Are we going for 2025?" I was like, "Are we going to Mexicali?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good. Let's go. I'm in."
That's awesome. I also cry foul at the same time because I mean, Denver to Phoenix or Denver to San Diego is not a very expensive flight for him. So
I know. I'm like, dude, you should have gone over to the East Coast. I mean, it was a pretty long trek. I'll give him that, right?
yeah,
But it was like, yeah, and to their defense too, I did say it kind of late. You know what I mean? It's like like I didn't give him too much of a
fair.
notice. So not a lot of people would have been able to do it, but it was something like my wife says, like you need to go do it. You go, you got to do this because
Yeah.
it was a cool experience, man.
Yeah, my girlfriend was saying the same thing. It's just I mean, it's what you love to do, so why don't you do it instead of talking about it? And I was like, fine, then I will. And so I did.
Fine. Lo and behold, we had a blast, and I would do this again in a heartbeat. I would do this all over again. So Uh,
Absolutely.
final thoughts on this, man, because obviously we both agree, anybody should do it and you guys should do it. Final thoughts on your whole experience for the Caribbean series overall.
I will say for me personally, I think it's been a great blessing. Thank the Lord that I have had the opportunity to learn and know Spanish. Because I think without that, I probably wouldn't have cared. Like, oh, just a Hispanic crowd doing their baseball tournament and
Yeah.
just thought nothing of it. But I kind of see it as the experiences I've had in my life by knowing Spanish, the experiences, the opportunities have been afforded to me. I can't be grateful enough for that to be able to communicate with the people. I feel like it's my second culture, my adopted culture, if you will,
Absolutely, dude.
to be able to talk to people. And glad the compliments on the Spanish. I try to make it sound good because I mean my parents are white folk. I'm white American. My parents don't know Spanish. My parents don't know Spanish. I learned it, and so it's opened up so many doors and be able to experience something like that. I'm glad I know the language to interact with the people, which made it even 1,000 times better.
I'll tell you this, dude. You You killed it. For me to be able to have a conversation with you in Spanish was awesome, right? And your pronunciation is amazing. Like you were having a conversation with the guy at the arepa stand, which was awesome. You were trying to buy his hat, but he wouldn't sell it. So, you said you went there during the semifinals, you tried to do it. He didn't do it then. And then you tried it in the finals again. He still didn't do it. But I was like, all right, this is my dude trying. I respect that. I respect that a lot.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And yeah, I encourage everybody, if you speak English, go attend the Caribbean series. It's a heck of an experience for your Spanish speakers. Tienen que asistir a la Serie del Caribe porque es muy divertido. And it's amazing.
I'm going to end it with that because that was awesome. I'm going to go ahead and end it there. And yeah, I don't have anything else to say, guys. Like he said, go to the Caribbean series. If you ever had an opportunity to do it, do it. It is an experience. It is baseball at its purest and finest, like that you can look at it, like, it's a party. People are enjoying themselves. There's no fighting. Like, I didn't see any of that, which was amazing. Like usually you go to a major league game or a minor league game or anything, or any football games, where you see fighting. There was no fighting here. Everybody was having fun. The food was amazing. The drinks were amazing. It was all awesome. So definitely I suggest that you guys do it. And then if you do, talk to my man, Zach. He'll give you some pointers of what to say, what to do, and where to go. Because obviously, like we said, in 2025, it'll be in Mexicali, and everybody should do that for sure. And then we'll leave it there, man. I mean, this was awesome, dude. Thank you so much, Zach, for doing this little special edition, Caribbean baseball series little recap for us, because it was an experience. And let's do it again, my friend.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Take care, mi hermano Boricua.
Thank you, my friend. You guys take care. I hope you guys enjoy that episode with my good friend Zach. I cannot say enough good things about this dude. He was awesome. We had an awesome time with my uncle, and then also with Zach. Guys, you guys have to go to a Caribbean baseball series, okay? I'm telling you, you will not regret it. So next year, 2025, like I've been saying this whole episode, Mexicali, 2026, it's going to be in San Juan, Puerto Rico. So you guys got to go out there, okay? Before I go, guys, make sure you guys go on to my Instagram channel, go to my YouTube channel. Make sure you guys are following me. I put videos every day, different content, and then I'll see you guys on the Dad Hat Chronicles Sports Show every Tuesday and Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern time. All right, guys. Till then, keep on grinding, and always support the minor leagues. See ya.
This podcast is part of the Curved Brim Media Network. Here are some of the other members of Curved Brim Media.
I'm Paul Caputo, and on the Baseball by Design podcast, I talk to minor league baseball teams, designers, and other super interesting people about what these minor league baseball logos mean. And I talk a little bit about ice cream helmets.
What's up, Bucketheads? I'm Anna DiTomaso, and each week on the Baseball Bucket List podcast, I speak with a different fan about their favorite baseball memories, what the game means to them, and what's left to check off on their baseball bucket list.
Hey everyone, it's Eric from the great state of Kansas.
This is Johnny from the New Orleans Baby Cakes Memorial Museum.
And we are the Earn Fun Average podcast,
where we talk to a variety of guests about their love of baseball and have fun doing it.
America, lower your standards.
Average is what we do best.
This is Patrick
and Corey
of baseballmapper.com. And we have made an interactive map to help highlight all baseball teams from the majors down to collegiate summer leagues.
We want to bring you closer to baseball. So get on the site and find a team near you today.
Hey guys, this is Patrick Larson from the Minor League Baseball Hat History Series. And in every episode, I go through the history of minor league teams through my personal collection of hats. You can find me on Twitter at PatLarson1. I hope you guys enjoy.
Learn more about Curved Brim Media at curvedbrimmedia.com.